Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our review here of Week 8 of CFL action. And you had a good week. I had a bad week in the predictions column, and my team didn't win. Although I will say the East cleaned up real nice. Not a single team from the West won this week. It was all East. It was all East. So
that's right.
So shall we get into it?
Oh, we shall.
We're going to get into the first game of the week, which was the Montreal Alouettes defeating the Saskatchewan Roughriders 20-16. And I did not anticipate Alexander playing this game. I made my prediction with the knowledge that Caleb Evans was going to be doing this game, and which is why. Yeah, no, Alexander comes in big at QB here for the Alouettes. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Doesn't even throw for 200 yards, but it was enough for them to be able to really get this going. And Maltos played okay. He had missed one, although if I'm looking here, his longest was only 21 yards. So it doesn't look like there was anything special offensively for the most part. From the Alouettes, but probably majority. Let me take a look at their defensive stats because it's probably what it was. I saw bits of this game. I did not see the entire thing. Yeah,
Lothar kicked missed a 57-yarder.
I did see that. Yeah, he went 3 for 5 with his longest of 43 yards. If we're looking here, Shea Patterson 21 for 32, 222 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, just kind of average. Hickson. Big game for Hickson. He would run for 117 yards. So my prediction, even though I predicted that Saskatchewan would win, my prediction that they would not be hindered by A.J. Ouellette being out was correct in that aspect. However, they weren't able to get it done. Like, I'm just looking here, and if I'm just looking at the head-to-head, why is this not what I want it to be? There we go. Saskatchewan. Kind of hard to win a football game when you don't put up points in the entire second half of the game. Although, in all fairness to Saskatchewan, Montreal nearly doesn't put up any points in the first half as they only got a field goal about 5 minutes or with 10 minutes into the game, and that is all they have. And it's that third quarter that really is the dagger for Saskatchewan, that giving up 2 touchdowns, getting absolute nothing, and then a field goal sealed the deal for the Alouettes in the fourth.
It honestly seemed like, I don't know what it is, but from last week on, if you look at all these games, do you remember how we had this discussion of the beginning half of the season, it was all offense for all the teams, and then as the defenses start to get their crap together, now that the defenses have started to get their crap together,
we've gotten some boring football.
It's been all kicking.
It's been all kicking.
Literally all kicking.
It's been all kicking. It's funny because literally, we have now had multiple games that we have streamed where it has just been paint drying on TSN for 2.5 hours. Seriously. That Ottawa versus Edmonton game was some of the most unbearable football to watch. And
there's another game like that later on this week.
It was, it was. Are you talking about the Winnipeg Toronto game? Or?
Oh, you know which game I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know you're talking about that one. But...
So, now that he's officially returned, I want to see. I think he's up to. Is he up to 3 touchdowns? Hold on, I just want to see. I'm curious to see if Reggie White is up to. Really? They don't even have him receiving anything? That's bad. I guess I'll have to go on their website. I'm pretty sure Reggie White is up to 3, if I'm not mistaken.
3 what?
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he got 2 this game. He had 4 receptions for 50 yards, 2 touchdowns for Reggie White Jr. And then my prediction of the leading receiver here for the Alouettes was accurate, with Tyson Philpott leading the way with 7 receptions for 88 yards. No touchdowns from him. Fletcher only able to run for 16, and that was the most on this team. Alexander was able to run for 13 yards, but just no running game here from Montreal. However, they were still able to get it done despite that. But it's one of those things, you look at the stats here, very defense-oriented game. The top tacklers of the game here for Montreal were Sutton and Beverett with 5 apiece, and then 4 tackles for Ento and Darnell Sankey. And Beverett would have 1 fumble. Is that fumble recovery or is that forced fumble? I can't tell.
For what?
For Beverett in this game. Was that a fumble recovery or is that forced fumble?
Give me one
Or was it both?
second.
I don't know. I see that Ellis, though, as well, got 2 sacks on the Montreal side of things. So there's that. If I'm looking on the Saskatchewan side of things, a good performance in the pass rush here. With, I'd see 2 for Cox Jr., 2 sacks for him, 1 for Cote Moore, 1 for Johnson, and 1 for Lanier the second. I probably mispronounced that. It is what it is. And top tacklers of the game for Saskatchewan were Revis with 7 tackles of the night. He was leading both teams. And then Milligan, Carney, and Marcus Sales would all have 4 tackles apiece. And then would just go down the rest of the depth chart.
So the Beverett is a fumble recovery.
That's a fumble recovery? Okay, I wondered about that. Okay.
FF is forced fumbles, and FR is fumble recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, mine has okay, it was covering up the other bit of it was covering up the
So
other.
if you think about it,
Yep.
Montreal's playing their 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah.
Just take that in for a second.
Yep.
Fajardo's out. Caleb Evans can't throw the long ball.
Nope.
And now Montreal's on their 3rd string quarterback.
And this is a game against Saskatchewan. This wasn't even like they were playing against like Ottawa or something and like they were going on this 3rd string, but they were still able to get it done. They were able to beat a top contender in this league with a 3rd string. Now, keep in mind, Saskatchewan still, it's not like Saskatchewan doesn't have any injuries either. Because even though Shea Patterson's been good, Trevor Harris is absolutely the number 1 quarterback there. But both teams handicap, Montreal able to come out on top. Is there anything else you got?
Let's just point out that Ajo only had 1 catch for 7 yards. All the hype that people were.
Is it Ajo or is it a Jew?
It's Ajo.
It's Ajo.
I thought it was that way too, and then I got corrected. It's Ajo. See,
I legitimately,
because if it was the other way, it'd be AJEU or EW. It's
I was confused because there's the U. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's, or not even a Jew, but like a Jew. You know what I mean? Like all one sound.
I mean, it all depends because different
I don't even know.
announcers,
I know
different announcers pronounce it differently.
I know the comment section is going to be all over me for this, but but that's fine. I legitimately don't know. I'm asking out of curiosity and ignorance. So. Overall, good game for the Alouettes as they're able to pick up a big win against Saskatchewan, 20-16 victory for them on Thursday. On the Friday game,
Carter had a smile on his face for this first game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I picked Saskatchewan, but I'm so glad that they lost. But then the second game, what happened? As the Ottawa Redblacks, 33-6, absolutely run over the Calgary Stampeders. With Calgary getting a field goal in the first and fourth quarter and absolutely nothing the rest of this game. With Ottawa scoring a touchdown or more every single quarter, consistently just completely outclassing. Jake Mayer had 136 throwing yards. Ouch.
Keep in mind.
Yep.
Drew Brown threw 1 touchdown. Crum had 1 rushing touchdown. Pimpleton had 1 return. The rest of the game was all kicking. That was it.
That's true, but I mean, you have to look at it here. 325 yards, 30 for 37. Very good completion percentage for Drew Brown in this game. Big bounce back game after what was kind of a lackluster performance, lackluster win even last week. An average of 8.8 per throw. Very, very good performance for Drew Brown. On the other side of things, I cannot say the same for Jake Mayer. 20 for 27, so, just barely just barely above 60, like maybe 60-70%, but just and although I will say seeing 27 pass attempts feels really weird for Jake Maier, because I'm used to seeing the 45, the 36 pass attempts, but not much for Jake Maier here. Dedrick Mills was leading in both passing and rushing. He would have about 100. He would have 100 yards exactly, with 43 yards rushing and 57 receiving. And just Calgary they just weren't able to get it going. Cam Eccles, 5 receptions, 53 yards receiving. Rene Paredes was good with it going 2 for 2, but his team was not able to get him consistently into field goal range to allow him to do what he does best.
The interesting thing that I'm going to point out is in the month of August, because Ottawa's on a bye this week, on the month of August, they have Saskatchewan, Calgary,
and this is
BC,
Ottawa's
BC.
schedule? Okay.
Yeah, Saskatchewan, Calgary, BC. They'll even be lucky if they can even. I would even be surprised if they went 2-2. If they go 1-3,
2-2 is an absolute win for Ottawa if they get through this and they go 2-2.
Well, they ain't going 2-0 against BC.
Yeah, it's
especially with the news that's going to be coming out later this week.
I don't know if that affects BC. We'll see. I don't know, because I know what you're talking about, and I don't know if there are a lot of people screaming, "Oh, is it CFL? Is it CFL?" I don't know. But we'll see here. Top tacklers of the game here for Calgary. Demario Houston with 7. Then Cameron Judge, as well as Sanders with 6 tackles apiece. 5 for Robertson and 4 for Williams. There's a sack for Judge, Vaughters, and Hauser, I guess. So 3 sacks there for the Stampeders. On the Red Black side of things, it's funny. There was not as many guys with high amounts of tackles, but way more guys that were being able to contribute on the defense side of things. So top tacklers of the game for Ottawa: 5 for Santos Knox, 4 for Webb, 4 for Lamont, 4 for Taylor, and then there'd be 2 sacks there for Carter, 1 for Malden, the 4th, and then 1 for Onyeka. That's right. So I want to make sure. And then 4 for 4 for Lewis Ward with his longest 42-yard kick. And overall, lot of the receiving depth used. Pimpleton leading the charge in the receiving yards, 7 receptions, 80 yards for the Red Blacks.
Did you watch this game or no?
It was one of, so I.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were in Thunder Bay. So,
I was with family. However, we did have the TV. TV in the other room on, so I kind of took glances here and there.
This was the game where Armstead got ejected out of it. So Braylon Addison had to be the new running back.
Yeah, and he would go and he would grab 28 yards on 5 rushes, average of 5.6 per carry. So could be worse.
I mean, you have 46 on 7 carries between him and Hardy.
It's not bad. That is acceptable. So is there anything else that we got to talk about with this game? Because I'm just looking through, and it's like this game was all there is to talk about is Ottawa killing Calgary, and it's funny. So earlier today, me and Rick were playing some college football 25. If you guys haven't, it's a great game. And it was not going well for me. I was getting bamboozled by this man. I was being absolutely routed. However, I remember my quarterback making a throw and having it go about 6 feet in front of the guy, just way out of reach. And I referred to that guy as pulling a Jake Maier. And this man just started laughing his socks off. Seriously.
He's like, "What Jake Maier is this?"
I'm like, "What in the Jake Maier is this?" And I just hear this guy just start freaking chuckling. And so, yeah, that was the Jake Maier we got this week. Was the missing the passes and just not connecting and not being able to get it done when their team needed it. So, 33-6. Victory for the Ottawa Red Blacks. And then that will bring us to the Saturday game. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this game, to our live stream. Rick was at the game, so we actually had Tiger Cats Network on Instagram. You can check out. It's literally just Tiger Cats Network sounded out. That is his Instagram. He came on for the first half of the game, and then I streamed the second half.
That was myself. Matt that was with you, not me.
Yes, I know. I said Tiger Cats Network. Tiger Cats Network. That's the name of his account. But yes, Matt, that's correct. It's funny because if you look at this game, for the first, second, third, and fourth quarter, both these teams completely mirrored each other, with both getting a field goal in the first, both getting a field goal in the second, both getting nothing in the third, both getting touchdowns in the fourth. I'm not going to lie. I have a big problem with this touchdown, this pick six in the fourth quarter. I'm going to say it right now. I know I'm pissing people off. That is absolutely pass interference. He literally reaches around his body and grabs him. I don't know how that's not pass interference. Last game, Winnipeg played Saskatchewan, and we got pass interference for putting a hand on a guy's shoulder. Not pushing, not pulling, putting his hand there when the ball is about a Jake Mayer distance above the guy's head. And so, I was not happy. I'm not gonna lie. I think Coach O'Shea needs to be quicker on the challenge call here. I'm not gonna, because thing is that they reviewed this, and I don't like that. So there's a problem with. So I'm getting kind of my grievances out of the way. Now I want to make sure it's clear. We didn't lose because of the refs. No, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. I'm not going down that train. I'm just airing grievances. However, Chris Streveler goes for it on third down. What was that spot? You literally see the TV camera angle going down the side, like right where the stick is. You see the ball, and then you see the stick. And then the ref gets in and, oh yeah, it's right here. I was like, brother, where are you putting it? Where are you putting it? Seriously. I'm not going to lie. I am absolutely bamboozled, as that is a horrible spot. What is that? What is that? Chris Streveler totally had that first down. Totally. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why would Mike O'Shea do this? It's 3rd and 1. Just kick the field goal. Now, here's the problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, people are saying that. That's wrong. That's wrong. You are saying that with this benefit called, what is it called, ladies and gentlemen? Hindsight. You are saying it with a benefit of hindsight. Chris Streveler, all year long, has pretty much never missed it. Never. He is consistently, when he needed 1, he got 2 or 3 or sometimes 5. So I do not blame them for going for this, especially since if you kick the field goal here, okay? Toronto goes down, kicks a field goal, you go to overtime anyway. If you're the Bombers and you're in a situation where you really need to start winning games, you gotta take some chances. And the thing is that the chance paid off, just the dumbass watching didn't put it in the right spot. So I don't blame Coach O'Shea for going this, because also let's put you in the shoes of Coach O'Shea, okay? Let's put you in the shoes of Coach O'Shea. You're on the sidelines. Streveler is standing there. He's got the football in hand, or he's ready to go. He's like, put me in, coach. I'm ready to go for it. It's only 1 yard. And you look at Chris Streveler and like, brother, you ain't getting it. We're kicking the field goal. Castillo, get the fuck out there. Are you saying that to Chris Streveler? Personal opinion, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want him to whip some fur coat cowboy cat hat candy ass on me. I'm telling you right now, that was the right call. I listened to every single one of those guys on the TSN panel in their exquisite suits talk about how, oh yeah, that wasn't the right call because it just didn't turn out. We don't know what the hell hindsight is. What the fuck's that? No.
Also,
O'Shea made the right choice, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. Because if that works out, everyone would be praising his ass. That is a fact.
I just want to bring out the big elephant in the room.
Yep.
I don't know what's worse. Seeing Toronto get 5 sacks You guys dropping the ball and losing it 4 times, or sitting here and watch Carter in his review video. Can we all hold the damn effing ball, please?
Nick Dembski needs to be benched next game. I'm not kidding. Bench Dembski next game. Seriously. And I'll tell you why. So, people are thinking, okay, well, he dropped that one last week. He dropped the one this week. This is not the first time that he's been dropping these. He has dropped 4 balls this year. Now, 2 of them were points of the game where if he made the catch, could we have won the game? Would it have been a very important time to make those catches? Yes. I'm going to tell you right now, when I played hockey, when I played football, if I wasn't performing, you know where my ass was? Riding the pine. I was on the bench. If I wasn't performing, would it piss me off? Absolutely. Was I happy? No. However, when I got my chance to go back out there afterwards, you bet your ass I was going to have the best shift of my life, because that's how you learn. Sometimes we need to have some accountability. And I'm not saying this because a lot of people are like, wow, you don't think Dembski's capable. You don't like him. You don't think he's a good player. I think Nick Dembski is a damn good player, and I expect more of him. He expects more of himself, I'm sure. I'm not pinning this loss on him. I'm not pinning this loss on anyone in particular. I'm just saying is that I think an example needs to be made. I think Lucky Whitehead needs to come into the lineup. And why is Rashid Bailey not signed? Literally
right.
half of our receiving core is like taking up the space at like Victoria Hospital in downtown Winnipeg, and we can't sign more guys to fill in. We got to get moving, boys.
Carter just wants the old band back together again.
Well, you know what? This new band ain't working out so well, so maybe. Also, Zach Caleros had a good game. Seriously, that interception. That pick 6 is not his fault for 2 reasons. Number 1, pass interference. Number 2, he threw it to the hands, and they keep hitting it up. If you can't catch it, don't hit it up, because the defender has the easiest job in the world to grab that, which he does. And look where it goes. I've been harping on this time and time and time and time again, and I'm getting frustrated. Why do I have to keep saying this nonsense?
So the reason why I wanted to bring that elephant up in the room is because Toronto had 5 sacks, 4 fumble recoveries, but that's not the big problem.
Patrick Neufeld and Chris Kolinkowski couldn't stop a damn beach ball that game. Seriously.
But what the big problem that I'm bringing up is Cameron Dukes goes 3 for 4 for 37 yards. Mm-hmm. Nick Arbuckle.
We got Nick Arbuckled. Guys, we got Nick Arbuckled. The ping pong man himself killed us.
Neither one of them threw a touchdown. And
we seriously lost a game.
Got the pick 6.
We lost a game. We lost a game to a team that did not have a single receiver over 50 yards. Receiving. Not one.
Wait, hold on.
One. Also, we have now lost 2 consecutive games where our defense is being able to hold the opposition to 20 points or less.
To go back to your point, Polk had 49. Kadeem Carey, their running back, had the second most with 35. Devarius Daniels had 15. Javarian Grant, Sindani, and Unger all had less than 10 receiving yards.
Yeah. Also,
if this was going to be a game, you guys were going to win.
Another thing, because our O-line just didn't have a good. I say our O-line, but it really was Kolinkowski and Neufeld who was just struggling. I'm not gonna lie, I am getting concerned about Neufeld's age, in the sense of that Neufeld is a guy that when he was in his prime, he was an excellent lineman, and I will never take that away from him. I'm not gonna say he's a bad lineman. He's not. He's just, when we're talking about players in the Bombers that are maybe a little old and kind of washed, Patrick Neufeld totally comes to mind.
Your team's just old.
I know.
It's like a retirement home.
I know. Also, I need to talk about this. I posted this on the Nolan Hockey Podcast because that's where I cover Bomber content. I have lots of good stuff on there. You can check it out. You can see Depression recorded and posted live for the wonderful internet to see. When we lost to Saskatchewan, I posted a thumbnail that looked a little something like this.
The good old washing machine.
You can see the washing machine. You can see the W in it. 7 days later, Toronto Argonauts post this, if it'll...
No, it's... Oh. Nice.
Toronto, I want my royalties. I want my royalties. I will send you my PayPal. I want my royalties. I have been robbed. I have been robbed. This is plagiarism.
Where was that on their Instagram?
I was there on their Instagram. I posted that in my story, and I'm like, royalties, please. I've been robbed. Anyways, I'm just having a little bit of fun with that. It's okay. Ontario Wilson seriously. One thing I do have to say, Calero's had a good game. And as much as Dembski had that notable drop, he's not the only one dropping it. Seriously, the amount of times Caleros throws it, hits the receivers right in the hands, and they just bobble it and get nowhere, is actually starting to kill me. Like, Dalton Schoen and Kenny Lawler would have caught those. They would. And it sucks because now Kenny Lawler's 6-game injured list has been extended another 6 games. So,
Dalton Schoen and Lawler are pretty much done for the season.
Yeah, in like the first game. Both guys died, and now we have to deal with it. And so, like, this is not looking good for Winnipeg.
You want to hear some good news?
What's good news? What's good news anymore?
Former Bomber Brendan O'Leary Orange has started to return to practice, and he's just coming off his 6th game.
You know what? So, I'm glad for him. I like O'Leary Orange. I do. If we look at the Toronto side of things, because I've been talking a lot about the Bomber side, we got to be fair to our Argonauts viewers. On the Toronto side of things, if we look at their defense, because their defense was really, really giving it to us. Seriously, Toronto's defense kept them in this game for a while, in the sense of that Winnipeg was actually putting on some decent pressure, and Caleros was making some really good throws, but this defense was just getting in the way of those, causing enough disruption that Winnipeg was not able to do anything with it. Like, I mean, if we look at the top tacklers of the game for Toronto here, Mechie, 8 tackles. Sopik, 8 tackles. Franklin, 7 tackles. And 4 for Serenza. I think that's his name. Or Serezna. Well, it's not Serezna.
No, it's Jake Serezna.
It's not Serezna because there's not an S before the N.
Well, I'm sorry. That's how they pronounce it.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe. There are 3 fumble recoveries. Kill me. For Mechie, Sopik, and Franklin. And Priester. Sorry, 4 because Winnipeg is finding all these different ways to turn the ball over. Franklin also got a sack. 2 for Serezna or whatever. 2 sacks for him. 1 for Holly and 1 for Barron. And an interception by McFadden. An interception I disagree with. I disagree with that interception. But an interception by McFadden nonetheless. And, man, the kicker did very well. I say their kicker because I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name. I know some guys sounded it out, but I'm still going to struggle with it. So I'm just not even going to try. As he goes 3 for 3. I believe now, I could be wrong. I saw the Argonauts social media post. I think he now hit 1,000 points kicking in his CFL career.
Yes, he has.
Wow. Impressive. Because I looked at his stats. And it looked like he's really been in and out of the league, where he spent some time down in the UFL, or I guess it was the USFL, NFL. Or he spent some time with the USFL. He spent some time with the NFL. But he was obviously in the CFL for many years before that, kind of before I really was kind of watching to the extent I am now. But I'm glad to hear about that. And longest for him was 48 yards. And is there anything else we need to talk
Janarian about? Grant didn't have a big return.
I'm not going to lie. That was one of the few things Winnipeg did. Winnipeg was absolutely incredible at shutting down Janarian Grant. They did. Their special teams downfield coverage was fantastic. It was. Winnipeg's downfield coverage of him was great. I wish the rest of it was that great. If we're going to talk about a defensive player of the game, though, for Winnipeg, Reddick Cramdy. He started this game red hot. Seriously. We're talking 2 sacks. We're talking like 3 other tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Like, he was just on fire, causing many losses of yards for Toronto. Top tacklers of the game for Winnipeg were Reddick Cramdy with 8 tackles and 2 sacks. Adam Bighill with 7, including a very, very big one on 3rd and 1, which would cause turnover on downs. Adam Bighill, big stop there. And 4 tackles then as well for Brendan Alexander. And no one else got a sack, interception, or fumble recovery for Winnipeg. Because Toronto just, at the end of the day, it was one of those things where Winnipeg, what's the reason they lost this game? As much as I didn't like officiating, as much as I didn't like this, as much as I didn't like that, if you turn the ball over like 7 times in a game, you're not going to win. So, Toronto, good job by them. And they were able to win 16-14 in overtime. And now on to the final game of the week after my long monologue. The Sunday game where the Hamilton Ticats got their second win of the season with a 44-28 victory over the Edmonton Elks. Rick?
Yes. I'm not even going to start in the first quarter because we all know how the first quarter started. 2 field goals each, and I could have sworn that this was going to be another kicking game. Yeah. But you know what's even worse, Carter?
What was worse?
Edmonton got 2 singles in the second quarter.
Oh, yeah?
So now it's 8-6. After that, everything came to crap. I was going to say the S word. But everything went to HE double hockey sticks for Edmonton because we got another block punt. This time it was Kobe Jones. Kobe Jones recovers. And next, our first touchdown of the game, Bo Levi Mitchell throws to Giovanni Robertson. Then, I think at that point, let me just...
Now, one thing I am going to talk about when we're looking as a whole, Bo Levi Mitchell is the star of the game today. Like, I know Trey Ford does good when he goes in. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Bo Levi Mitchell, are you kidding me? Are
300.
You kidding me? 316, 17 for 25, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. That is ridiculous. 2 for Tim White, and he only got 23 yards receiving, but both catches were for touchdowns. And man,
after this game finished, I looked at the numbers. Vernon Adams is only 138 yards ahead of Bo in all passing yards, and Bo's now 3 touchdowns ahead of Vernon Adams.
Is he leading the league now in touchdowns?
He is leading the league in touchdowns.
I was about to say, after you get 5, it's kind of hard not to be. Like,
keep in mind, if you look at their stats, Luther Hakunu Navanu, 2 receptions, 83 yards. Keandre Smith, 2 receptions, 69 yards. Shamar Bridges, 4 catches, 50 yards.
Yep.
Stephen Dunbar, 1 for 42. Tim White, 2 for 3 for 23 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
And Giovanni Robinson, 2 for 21 yards, 1 touchdown. And then
everyone's
there's James Butler.
It's like that meme of like Oprah where it's like, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. Oh my God, we all get touchdowns.
Keep in mind James Butler.
Yep.
Even though he didn't get no touchdowns, he still got 98 yards.
Now, it wasn't 21 rushes, but still averaged 4.7 per, so not bad. Not bad overall. Mark Leggio went 3 for 3 with a longest of 47 yards. Then if we look to the defensive side of things, top tacklers of the game for the Hamilton Ticats were Wilson, Casey Sales, and Leonard, all with 5 tackles apiece. Then
DQ Thomas.
Panabaker? Is that right? Panabaker?
DQ Thomas, Robert Panabaker, and Kenneth George Jr.
And all with 4 apiece. Then a sack for Panabaker. Then a sack for Jonathan Moxey. And then as well as a sack for Jones. And then also 1 interception for Jamal Peters. So that is that for the Ticats. Trey Ford. So McLeod Bethel Thompson, 85 yards, average of 3.9, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Trey Ford goes 10 for 15, 121 yards, 8.1 average, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. At this point, it's one of those things where Trey Ford has to be the guy, right? Like, how can he not?
Well, I mean, when you were doing stuff before this,
yep.
Jermaine Franklin actually did announce that Trey Ford was starting this week.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think he's starting to understand the mistakes that Chris Jones made. Even though he worked with Chris Jones, he's now being like, you know what, this guy was misguided. We gotta go a different route. And so definitely I think the right call. Boris Beatty went 2 for 2, decided to actually hit the field goals today with his longest at 47 yards. And then if we are looking at the top tacklers of the game for the Edmonton Elks, Anderson with 9 tackles, leading the game in tackles for both teams. Then Morgan and Sean Oakman both with 6 apiece. Then 1 sack for Brown. And then I accidentally closed out of my thing. 1 second.
No, Marcus Lewis had the 1 interception.
Yep.
And then Nick Anderson had the forced fumble, or the fumble recovery, and Kay Gray had the forced fumble.
Yes. What he said.
But now, with that being said, Javon Leake had 8 carries for 55 yards.
Yep.
Kevin Brown left the game injured at one point.
Yep.
But and I know everyone has, depending on who you talk to, everyone's going to say Trey Ford should start. Some people are going to say McLeod Bethel Thompson is going to start. Where do you put his, if you look at it, okay, so he's 4th in passing yards with 1,788, 9 touchdowns. Yeah, 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for 69%. Do you just let Trey Ford play 1 game and then decide it, or do you just roll with Trey Ford for the rest of the season and then let McLeod sit on the bench for the rest of the season?
So the first thing you do is, before you make any decision regarding his contract, whether you're dropping him, whether you're trading him, whether you're whatever, what you have to do is you have to give Trey Ford a game, full game, start to finish. That you need a big enough sample size to know that Trey Ford that we saw there, that can continue. Because if it can't, and you drop Bethel Thompson, now you're in trouble. For a team that's already in trouble, as they're still winless, the Edmonton Elks have just absolutely struggled. 0-7 starts at the season.
The interesting thing, though, is it's a contract season for both players, so both players' contracts are up at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton plays Saskatchewan and BC their next 2 games. It's going to be an interesting test.
And you know what I think is difficult? Because where does Bethel Thompson go? Back to Toronto?
That's what I mean. So
because here's the thing. Is Cameron Dukes going to get it done? I mean, he kind of didn't. That's why Arbuckle went in. Arbuckle was able to get the win there, but I don't think that's sustainable. Then, honestly, if I'm the Toronto Argonauts, drop Chad Kelly. Don't even take a chance with that. Even if he is able to come back, go back to Bethel Thompson, because Chad Kelly finished that game and got the Grey Cup for Toronto. That's true. However, Bethel Thompson carried them that entire season and most of that game. The only reason Chad Kelly went in was because Bethel Thompson was injured. Not because Bethel Thompson just stopped performing. It's because he was injured. That's why Chad Kelly went in. Again, not saying that Chad Kelly isn't good, but with all the baggage that there is around him, no matter how that goes, it's one of those things where if Bethel Thompson is a quarterback that might be on the market, I don't think that's a bad decision for Toronto.
The big difference between Edmonton and Toronto, between the year that McLeod was in Toronto and the year that he's in Edmonton, is the offensive line.
Yep. Yeah, but it's one of those things where even though even though Trey Ford has very much earned his spot in Edmonton and, was pissed off that Bethel Thompson was brought in. I get it. I get it. Yeah, he basically earned that spot. But, and it was one of those things where I said that, Trey Ford kind of needs to suck it up and he needs to get over it. And I'm glad he has. It seems like he has. It seems like, I'm sure he doesn't listen to me, but it seems like it seems like whatever, if someone else is giving them that exact same advice, he listens to that. And good, because that was exactly what he needed. He needed to suck it up, get over it, and take the reps he could. And he did that this game, even though, because before he said that he wouldn't play any game, he wasn't starting. But in this game, he wasn't starting, but they put him in later on, and he was able to show in a good enough sample size to prove that he is the destined starter in Edmonton.
Keep in mind,
the Trey Ford era needs to begin in Edmonton, because if it doesn't, this era of continuous sucking will continue.
Keep in mind, some of our players we had our backups in. So I'm not saying all of our backups were in, but some of them were.
Yep. That's true.
But, Carter, are you going to take it away, my friend?
I think that's all we got. Is there anything else we got?
That's why I said, take it away.
All right. Well, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, if you can hit the little notification bell, helps out a ton. If you're listening to this on Spotify, if you can leave 5 stars, helps out a ton. We have 2 5-star reviews, I think. We can get at least a few more than that. So if you could do that, that would help out an absolute ton. And then, yeah, if you're someone who likes listening to things on Spotify, we are available on there. Just go to Canadian Football Central, search that, you'll find us. And so at some point, we then should also get going on our preview for the next week. And we got some other stuff that will be coming out probably in the next week, 2 weeks, that we'll need to get on. Maybe some mid-season report cards sort of ordeal for some of the teams. So
that's going to be next week. Oh, and you know what else I have to say?
Is there anything else you got?
Friday, you say his name and he's going to appear. Bo's going to be back against Montreal. You say his name is going to appear.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, fair enough. Peace, love, and positivity to you all. And good night. Touchdown!